everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Maria. I'm still quite new to booktube, so you may not have seen from me before. I do have a few videos, so I'll link some of those down in the description box below. But today's video is going to be my May TBR, so all of the books that I'm hoping to get to in May, and hopefully I'll leave a bit of room for some mood reading in there as well. But yeah, let's just get into the list of books I'm planning to read in May. Well, as I say, I'm definitely a bit of a mood reader, and sometimes it can be quite hard for me to build a TBR because what I might want to read this week or what I think I'll want to pick up may not be necessarily what I'm in the mood for in the next couple of weeks. So generally when I'm building these lists, I do try and build a mix of different genres in there, you know, have a little bit of romance. If I've just read a very heavy fantasy, I may want to switch to something that's a bit more light and fluffy. So yeah, as I say, it's a little bit hard for me sometimes to build these lists, so it's very much a hopefuls list more than a rigid I have to read these books. But in saying that, I do have a few books that I've decided to buddy read with some friends, so I'll go through those first and then I'll go through some of the options that I'm putting in as hopefuls for the rest of the month. So the first book I think I'm going to be picking up this month is actually Dune by Frank Herbert, and I do have this nice special edition from Waterstones, and I haven't read the book before, but when I seen they came back out with this edition, I thought it would be a good time to pick it up because it is a book that I've been interested in, especially since the movies have come out. I'm guessing it must be a well-beloved science fiction. Science fiction is kind of out of my comfort zone, so it's not something I've read a lot of, but I thought if I was going to start anywhere, it's best to start with one of the classics. So this one, I don't know a lot about what the plot is supposed to be. I just know it's kind of set in a desert. I'm not sure if it's set in our world, but in the future. So it says, Paul Atreides, son of Duke Leto Atreides, and all his family have been sent to the planet Arrakis, having been outmaneuvered by their arch enemy, Baron Harkonnen. Arrakis, also known as Dune, is an arid place, but a planet of fabulous wealth, the only source of a drug prize throughout the galactic empire, spice. What will happen next will change everything. There are secrets on Dune, known only to the planet's native people, the Freemen. They have been waiting for their moment to make their move. Paul will be brought into the path of terrible events beyond his control, but Paul himself is important, as he is the child of destiny, a child of prophecy, and within him the ability to bring the empire to its knees. So it sounds really good. It sounds very classical kind of science fiction, so I'm a little bit apprehensive going into this one, but I do have the audiobook, so I'm hoping that's going to help ease me into it. And I'm hoping as I go through, I'm just going to get, you know, enthralled by the story and it's not going to feel like it's out of my comfort zone. But yeah, as I say, a little bit different for me, but really excited to get into this one. Hopefully it's unlocking a new genre for me. So these next few are ones that I'm going to actually be buddy reading with a few people that I've met on bookstagram. So as much as I hate to kind of put myself in a regimented schedule or anything like that when it comes to reading, I find buddy reading always really gives me that motivation to read certain books that maybe I've had on my TBR for a while or I just haven't got to for one reason or another. And one of those is The Poppy Wars. So I've had this on my Kindle for quite a long time. I decided to pick up the physical copy when I seen it when I was shopping in London. And again, it's just one that's been on my TBR for quite some time. I think it did have its day in terms of being hyped a few years ago. It's an earlier series by R.F. Kuang, and it follows our main protagonist Rin, who is in somewhere called the Nakira Empire, and apparently she has powers, I believe, so she is quite coveted. She ends up going to a military academy and being paired with this mentor who will help her unlock her powers. I think it has some quite dark themes, so I think there's themes of racism and colonialism, and I think the story does expand quite a bit as the books go on, but I don't know a lot about exactly what the plot entails, so I kind of want to go into it a little bit blind just to see where it goes. But yeah, I've heard this one can be a little bit dark, so just be conscious of that when you're looking at it, but excited to read this one. I really like R.F. Kuang's writing in Babel, so excited to see how this one differs from that. This next one is a group buddy read that I'll be doing on bookstagram as well, and it's called A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. So this one has a bit of a weird premise. It isn't horror, but it's kind of centered around plants and intellectual life form from plants, and it's kind of Frankenstein-esque, I would say. We have this character who is interested in horticultural society, finds a fungus, a rare fungus, is showing some signs of intellect, and decides to try and make this into some sort of living being or matter. Obviously things take a turn for the worst, and that's when the horror comes into this. So it's based in Victorian London, and yeah, so it's very different than the type of thing that I usually read. I had actually seen the cover around for quite some time. It was, you know, instant cover buy for me. It looked like it'd be something that was up my street. I hadn't realized it was going to be a horror, but I'm really excited to read this as part of a buddy read. So as I say, even though it's outside of my normal comfort zone and genres, it'll be really fun to read along with some of the people in that group. So next up is one that I'm really excited for. So I'll be doing a buddy read with a girl that I did a buddy read with, another one of this author's books. So Empire of the Vampire. I did read that. It's in my last wrap up if you want to know a bit more of my thoughts on it. But in a nutshell, absolutely adored that series so far. There's been 2 books out so far. Cannot believe we have to wait for the next one. Not even sure when it'll be out. But yeah, I really fell in love with Jay Kristoff's writing in that. I thought it was really humorous. It was really deep and just kept me engaged the whole way through. Even though they are really chunky books, it kept me engaged from start to finish. So we've decided that we want to pick up Nevernight, which is the trilogy that he actually wrote before Empire of the Vampire. This one follows our protagonist Maya Corvain, and it starts from when she is 10 years old. Basically, she is destined to destroy empires. Something happens in her early life where she's grown up seeking vengeance, but before she can do that, she has to join what is called the Red Church of Atreia, and basically within this church she will get training to bid that vengeance that she's been looking for. So it does kind of have a similar premise, I would say, to that of Empire of the Vampire, but without the vampire element. I mean, as far as I know, I'm not sure if this centers around any vampire lore, but in terms of quite a young person going to this society to get trained up so that they can seek vengeance or protect or, you know, shatter a kingdom as such. So it sounds like it's going to be really good. It's much shorter than Empire of the Vampire, so I think it will be an easier read. In saying that, the print is quite small in this, but I do think it's just going to be really fun. I really love his writing, so I'm really excited to get to this one. So now to move on to some of the hopefuls I have for the month of May. Most of them are kind of continuations of series that I've started. I'm one of those people, I can't really read one book in a series and then read the next one 3 months later because I will forget everything that happened in that first book. So I'm hoping to continue some of the series that I did start this month. So the first one being All This Twisted Glory by Tahira Mafi. So this is the Waterstones edition, and I just have to show you the sprayed edges are absolutely beautiful on this one. And this is the 3rd book in the This Woven Kingdom series, so I can't really give you too much of a synopsis of what that one is going to be about. So This Woven Kingdom follows our protagonist Eliza, who is a servant within this kingdom, and also follows a dual POV with the Crown Prince Cameron. So their 2 stories are intertwined, and basically Eliza is maybe a little bit more than she seemed. There may be some hidden powers there that come to play, hidden identities and things like that. So again, I don't want to give too many spoilers in terms of how the book goes, but the first 2 books were really good. It is a YA series, so there's no spice in there, but I did really like the character dynamic, the interactions between them. The love story was a little bit insta-lovey, but I'm thinking with the couple of books that I've read so far, there is going to be an explanation to that in the 3rd book. I'm hoping anyway. So that did bring it down a little bit. Other than that, I really enjoyed it. I thought the writing was absolutely beautiful. Tahira Mafi has a really beautiful writing style, so that definitely kept me engaged. And the story ended on a cliffhanger in book 2, so really intrigued to get into this 3rd one, All This Twisted Glory, just to see where the story has gone. The next series I will be continuing is The Prisoner's Throne. So I'm currently still reading The Stolen Heir, but I will finish it today. I think I've got around an hour left on the audiobook, but so far so good. I will say it's kind of similar to the Cruel Prince series. So in case you don't know, this is a spin-off series from The Cruel Prince. So it starts with The Stolen Heir. It follows one of the characters from the Cruel Prince trilogy. So Jude's little brother Oak. He's grown up now. I think he's around 17 in this series, and it's just kind of following him. He has a bit of a quest that he needs to go on, and he enlists the help of another character that we get a glimpse of within the Cruel Prince, Seren, and she is princess to the Court of Teeth. So they kind of embark on a quest together. They are reluctant allies. They were childhood friends, but they haven't spoken in some years. Oak does kind of detain her at the start, and the story kind of goes from there. I don't want to give too many details, as I always say with these things. I hate to give too many details in case it spoils anything. But yeah, so far so good. I really enjoy Holly Black's writing. I would say for most of the books, they always kind of tend to be around a 3.5 to 4 star, but I do still really enjoy them. I love the way her depictions of fairies are more realistic to the actual folklore of the fae, so that's always really good, and I do think she does her descriptions really well. So yeah, really enjoying The Stolen Heir so far. I've heard a lot of people prefer this one. For me, I'd say the first book, the only thing that's kind of keeping it down is we're not getting a lot of Oak's perspective, but I've heard that changes in this one. So yeah, be interested to see how this one goes. So the next series I'm hoping to finish is the We Hunt the Flame duology. So it's by Hafsa Faisal, and the second book in that series is We Free the Stars. So again, I can't give you a synopsis for the second book without spoiling it, but in We Hunt the Flame, we follow Saphira, who lives in a land that has lost its magic, and at the start of the book she is embarking on a quest to try and bring magic back to her land. That then puts her in place with the Crown Prince Nazir, who is going on the same quest but has very different motivations for doing so, and we follow their journey along the way as they travel and embark embark on that quest to bring magic back to the land. And as always, there is some speed bumps along the way, there's some disagreements, they're reluctant allies, there is a kind of a love story there. It's very slow building, very slow burn, which is exactly what I like. With this one, I would say there was a lot of introspection, so just be wary of that. I listened to a file audio, so it didn't really bother me that much, but if you're more a person who prefers dialogue to be the narrative rather than internal kind of thoughts, just be mindful of that when going into this one. But yeah, hoping to pick up We Free the Stars this month so that I can finish off this geology. In terms of some new releases, one that I've really wanted to get to for a while now, well, basically since it came out, is The Crimson Moth. So I believe this is called The Heartless Hunter in the US. Basically, they're the same book. But this one, it follows a witch called Rune, and there's been a revolution recently which has meant that witches have to hide who they are, as witch hunters are prevalent within the town. Rune is an especially powerful witch, so she really has to try her hardest to kind of hide the magic that she holds. She then is trying to hide her abilities, and for whatever reason she decides to court a witch hunter, Gideon Sharp I believe his name is, and without the intention of falling for him, but that's probably exactly what's going to happen. So I'm really interested to get to this one. It seems to be getting rave reviews. A lot of people have said it's a really great debut. It is YA as well, but a lot of people have kind of said the romance in here is great, the writing is great, the banter is great. So yeah, just sounds like it's going to be an all-around good time. Definitely interested to read this one and hoping to get to it in May. I had hoped to get to it in April, but unfortunately didn't get to it. So yeah, definitely a high on my May TBR. So this next one is one that was pretty popular on BookTok probably around a year and a half ago, and that's Lightlark by Alex Astor. This one, it follows the premise of this island that comes back every 100 years. Within this kingdom there are 6 realms, and in order to protect their realms and to break the curses that could be put on their realms, the 6 rulers of those need to come together and fight in these games, and in order to ensure that their realms aren't cursed, one of them must die. So again, I don't know too much about the actual storyline, but I think it's been compared to the Hunger Games and things like that, likely just because of that game setup, and obviously there needing to be an elimination there. It sounds like it could be quite good. I do see mixed reviews on this one. Some people say it's really good, other people say not so much. I think there was some drama surrounding it in terms of false promises for what was going to be in there, but I'm not really reading into that too much, hoping that this is going to be a good one. I have a couple of friends who have read it who said they really enjoyed it, so yeah, definitely hopeful for this one. So obviously that's quite a lot of fantasy and sci-fi I have on there, and they're my main genres, so I don't mind that too much, but I do, as I say, always try and break it up with a little bit of contemporary romance or literary fiction or a classic or something like that. So one of the ones I'm hoping to pick up this month is Daisy Hates, and I'll be honest, with Magnolia Parks I did read it and it was around a 3.5 star for me. It was entertaining, but I couldn't really root for any of the characters. I didn't particularly like many of them. There was maybe 2 characters that I liked within the series, so I didn't really get that connection that a lot of people seem to be getting with it. But I've heard that you're either a Magnolia person or a Daisy person, so hoping that when I read this may be my connection into the series and it may help me get more invested, or it may just not be for me, but hoping to use this as a break from some of those more heavy fantasy books. Here's hoping this one's better than the first one for me. And last but not least, I'm going to add in a contemporary romance, and it's part of the Dreamland Billionaire series. So I have read the first one, which is the fine print, and this one is called Terms and Conditions. So this one follows 3 brothers who are essentially heirs to what would be Disneyland in our world. Their grandfather passed away. In order to get their share of the company, they have been given tasks by their grandfather in his will, and then they will be giving their share. I think it's 18% each or something like that. In the first one, we followed Rowan and Sahara, and basically his task was to be the creative architect there, so essentially improving the Dreamland, improving the movies, to make the company a better place within 6 months, increase the turnover and things like that before he gets his share. So it was a really fun read. Again, it was probably a 3.5 for me, but a lot of contemporary romance does sit around there for me, so it definitely wasn't a bad book. It was a fun read. It gave me a break from some of those more heavy topics. I did really enjoy it. I enjoyed the writing style. Interested to jump into this one. This one follows Declan and Iris, and Declan's task is to get married and have an heir, which I always think that's a weird stipulation for people to put in a will on someone, that they have to be married. But anyway, yeah, so his task is to get married. He basically goes into a deal with his secretary Iris, and from there I imagine what will happen is it's a fake dating, fake marriage trope, but there will be feelings, and yeah, I just think it'll be a fun one. So putting this in here as a bit of a break between some of those other books, and hopefully I will get to it this month. Okay, so these are all the books, I can't even lift it, it's so heavy, that I'm hoping to read this month, so it's definitely a very hopeful TBR. I think there's around 10 books on here. I can read 10 books in a month, but I'd imagine there's a few of these that will get swapped out or I may not get to because I'm just not in the mood to read them, but definitely good to have these on the TBR. I think I'll definitely get to the series that I want to finish, and obviously I do have a few buddy reads in there, but a few of those last ones may be swapped out for something that I'm more in the mood for. But let me know if you've read any of these. I'd really like to know your thoughts, or any that you think I should be getting to soon. Let me know in the comments what's on your May TBR. What are you really hopeful to get to? What's kind of your priority reads? I'd love to get any inspiration and some recommendations from you as well. Other than that, if you did enjoy this video, please do give it a like, and I would love if you subscribed and became part of the small community that I'm building here. It really does help my channel grow, and it's just great to connect with all of you as well. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!